What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Observant Lineman. And today, for your viewing pleasure, we are taking a trip down memory lane. So we're gonna wait for a few more people to jump in before we start our story time NFL them rookie days stories. All right. All right. Let's see who is in. Now this story is an infamous one because there were a lot of people who were affected by this singular situation, and sometimes when you're a young player and you don't know what you're doing, you tend to improvise. You tend to cut corners a little bit to try and get things done in a timely fashion. And in this situation, I would have to say that me personally, I was in a rush. And I was kind of under duress, I would say. So this story, and just to set the frame for you guys, this story took place my rookie year. We were about 9 games into the season. At this point, I'd already hit the rookie wall. I was delusional in meetings. I was wondering, when was this all going to end? And it's a funny thing, nobody really prepares you for the length of an NFL season. Nobody prepares you for, the grind that those final 7-8 games are. So when you're a young guy, you tend to get, you tend to just kind of get cabin fever. You start kind of going, wacko a little bit. Things are starting to really ache on your body. You're not really recovering from, week to week. And, you're not used to those 2-hour-long meeting sessions just for your position groups that you now are doing 10 weeks, 11 weeks, 12 weeks. You're thinking about the off season. You're like, this is ridiculous. Like, I remember specifically, I was sitting in our O-line meeting room, and I would literally be looking at the schedule and just doodling around the teams that we were getting ready to play, counting down how many games we had left. And it was like that for almost all the rookies when I was in Jacksonville my rookie year. So, one of the things that, as a rookie, and you guys know this, one of the things that you have to do is a lot of monotonous tasks, a lot of things that are, kind of, like you're the whipping boy. You're the one who has to constantly, take in shoulder pads after practice. You're the one who has to, bring Gatorades to the vets' lockers. Once we come in from practice, you get a big bucket of Gatorades. You walk around, hand them to the other lineman or whatever position group you're in, and you're kind of, you're the bellboy. You're the bellboy for your position group. And for me, my rookie year was funny because, I was the only one who was really messed with. I was the only drafted rookie. The other 2 rookie linemen were undrafted. One was a 7th round pick, and the other one was an undrafted free agent. So I was a 5th round pick. These guys looked at me and were like, you are a guy that was on the board to be drafted. Like these, the other two guys, they were, these guys just made the squad. One's on the practice squad. Well, actually, both of them were on the practice squad. So I was the only rookie offensive lineman on the team who was on the active roster. So I was the one who was made to do everything. I had to bring coffee in every morning before meetings. I had to go get waters in the middle of meetings and bring them in for the O-line. I had to go and pick up breakfast sandwiches every Saturday morning before meetings. I had to come in, have a big bag of breakfast sandwiches, and I had to pick up the food to take to the plane on away games. So on this particular day, and I believe this was actually a Thursday, so this was our second full day. We have 2 full days during our work week: Wednesday and Thursday. Friday's a half day, Saturday's a walkthrough, and then obviously we play on Sunday. So in this game, or on this week, I'm actually like, I was late to meetings that morning. Our O-line coach, Andy Heck, he was a little bit irritated about that. But, Andy's a pretty mild-mannered cat, so he just said, look, Uche, get here on time. We told you to come in early. Make sure you get here on time. Don't fucking make me look bad. I'm like, all right, I get it. I got it. Reason being is, my car wouldn't start for about 20 minutes. I don't know why. It was weird. It wouldn't start. I called up, or sent Andy a text and said, hey, my car won't start. I'm trying to, get a ride. There were a couple players that lived in my neighborhood. I called them. No answer. Those guys were already gone. They were already down I-95. They wasn't waiting. They wasn't coming back for me. So anyways, we're in meetings, I forget what team we were playing that week. I don't know. That was a while back, but we're in the meetings, we're going through our day as normal. And after our lunch, so what happens is we have lunch after we do a walkthrough. And after we do a walkthrough, there's like a 20-minute time span where, the press comes into the locker room and they, do their interviews with certain players. They ask about the feel for the week. And then, while that's going on, we're basically talking to them and then going to lunch. And after lunch, you have one more set of meetings before we get ready to go out to practice. So we're actually done with lunch. I'm done with lunch. I'm like, everything's ready. I'm taped up. I'm like, okay, everything's going to be good for today's practice. We got this meeting. The meeting's going to be like 40 minutes, and then we're going to get ready for practice. So I'm actually, walking out of the cafeteria, going to go get my playbook so I can head into the offensive line room for the meeting. And as I'm walking down the hallway, Dirk Cutter announces that the quarterbacks are going to be in the meeting with the O-line. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to have the quarterbacks in there with us, the quarterbacks and the tight ends, actually. So it's, what's going on, John? DJ John. So it's, where was it? Okay. So tight ends, quarterbacks, O-line are all in one room. It's cramped. It's everything. Andy's walking right next to Dirk Cutter, and Andy says, Uche, hey, we're going to need a lot of coffee. So make sure you get some coffee ready, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so at this point, everybody's already moseying into that meeting room. So what I do is I go into the meeting room because it's only, it's like a minute or two before we actually start. Go into the meeting room, grab the coffee pot, and it's weird because at that same time, I had to really take a piss. I had to really take a piss real bad. And if you've ever seen or been in Jacksonville at the stadium, this is an old stadium. This stadium's been around forever. And in the facilities where we're at for meetings, these hallways wrap around the stadium. And these are, these hallways are old. Everything is kind of, 90s looking, but it was updated a little bit, but it was still had that 90s feel. And I'm going back towards the cafeteria to go and get some bottles of water to use to fill up the coffee tank. Well, the thing is that they had locked the doors to the cafeteria, so you couldn't get in, and there was no way for me to go get any bottled water. So at the same time that I got to take a real bad piss, I also need to get waters or need to find water to fill up the coffee tank for all these guys who want coffee. And one of the guys who was the biggest stickler about his coffee was Brad Meester, our center. Brad Meester would be pissed if he didn't have coffee ready for him when the meeting starts. But again, you gotta remember, my bladder's full, and the walk back to the locker room, it's a long one. I mean, it's a long walk back to the locker room, especially if you gotta take a piss. And right next to the cafeteria is a bathroom. Literally. So when I walk up to the door and can't get it open, I'm saying to myself, well, I got to take a piss. I go into the bathroom, use the bathroom, take a piss real quick. And, in my head, I'm a little panicky because these guys are impatient, man. They're impatient. And you're a rookie. They don't give a damn. So they want you moving fast. They want you doing 10 things at once, and you better do it right. So what I do is, after I take a piss, I take the coffee tank, and I'm just like, hey, gotta improvise, right? So I turn on the sink, turn on the water in the sink in the bathroom, and I fill up the coffee tank. And as I'm looking at this water, as I fill up the coffee tank, because the side of the tank is clear, it's see-through, so I can actually see the water. I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this water is kind of yellow. The water was like tinted yellow. It was a almost neon. And, I'm thinking to myself, hey, once it gets hot and it starts boiling, all that stuff's going to be cleared right out. That's going to be nice and clean. Not knowing that, this water probably is literally coming from some pond or the river right next to the stadium for all we know. So I'm thinking to myself, well, the lights are off in the meeting room. It's going to be dark. These guys aren't going to notice, right? So I fill up the tank all the way to the top with water. And I mean, it was like, do what I got to do, right? Walk the tank back over into the meeting room. I walk in the meeting room. Andy's right there. Dirk Cutter's right there. Dave Garrard's right there. And I'm just like, I'm scooting through. And, when you walk in as a rookie, when you walk in, everybody kind of turns and looks at you with this look of disdain. So I walk in and guys are just looking like, hurry the hell up, rookie. The hell took you so damn long with our coffee? And, I just kind of slide right in, put the tank on the table behind behind where all of us are sitting. There is a mini fridge, and then, you put the tank on top of the mini fridge, and then you just, plug it in, hit that button, and now we're rolling. And that's what I did. I put the tank on there, hit the button, that thing is rolling. Soon as I start walking to go sit down in my seat, Andy stands up, our offensive line coach, and walks over, grabs a cup, and is waiting for the coffee. Because actually, at this point, they have Dave Garrard is actually running the actual meeting. He's running the meeting. He's going through the film. So Andy stands up after he sets the film up for Dave, and he walks over to the mini fridge And he opens up the mini fridge, and I'm sitting up at the front, way up at the front of the meeting room. So I actually, I'm in the meeting in the way that our tables were set up. It's one long table, and everybody is kind of, at this point, everybody's seats are on the side. So I have a lateral view of what Andy's doing, and I'm telling you, I'm sitting there just like this, looking at him. I'm like, come on. All right, he's got a cup. All right. Wait, what is he doing? Why is he looking at the side of the tank? And then I turn back forward like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then I hear Andy go, hey, Uche. And I turn my head. Hey, what's up, coach? What the hell is this? Where'd you get this water? And I'm like, what do you mean? He turns on the light to the meeting room. Turns on the light. And then as soon as he turned on the light, first thing I hear is Chris Naole. Chris Naole was a Hawaiian cat. And Chris, he was old school offensive lineman. So he didn't give a damn about talking. He would talk. These guys are old school. Tony Pashos, these guys are all like, oh shit, you done it now, Uche. What you do, Uche? He said, oh, you done had him turn on the light, Uche. What's going on? And then Brad has that look. He turns around. He stands up and walks over to the tank and stands next to Andy. Stands there. He says, Uche, where the fuck did you get this water? I just look at him. I said, the bathroom. Everybody in the room busts out laughing. They're like, oh, hell no. Dirt Cutter's standing there. He's just got his glasses down. He's just kind of has a smirk on his face like, God damn, aren't you trying to kill him? And Andy picks up the tank, looks at, shows it, displays it to the entire meeting room. He's like, are you fucking kidding me, Uche? Are you trying to kill every man in here? And I'm just like, maybe. And Chris Naole says, man, you gotta know, man, Uche, he a 10-year vet. Uche been in the league 10 years. He do what he fucking want, yo. And, everybody's just kind of, and Brad is, Brad's an old country, Midwestern, Iowa born and raised guy. And Brad just has that look. He's looking at me just like, geez, Uche. I mean, seriously. So I'm sitting there, and these guys are literally, I can feel, especially from Andy. Andy and Brad take their coffee serious. And I can just feel it from Andy. Andy's just standing there looking at me. He even gets a little smirk on his face like, this guy's trying to give us freaking lead poisoning over here. So, I got to take the tank, go into the locker room. I got to walk halfway around the stadium, go into the locker room, dump out all that water. And I mean, they were so close to drinking it. It was like spilling the coffee into the cup. And Andy, I don't know how he saw that the water had a little tint to it, but it, because we were in the dark, but, he literally, just stood, went from looking at it from a sideways view to just standing straight up and walking and turning on the light. And, I had to walk back to the locker room, dump out the water, put in, 3 bottles of filtered water, carry it all the way back to the meeting room, and get these guys coffee. And it's funny because from that day forward, every time I got coffee, every time I got the water for the coffee, they would all inspect it, and they would all be like, oh, see a little tint here, of course, from that point on, I made sure it was bottled water that I put in there. But, yeah, man, that they never let me live that story down. I've heard about that until we told that, me and Brad probably told that story 20 times over the next 7 years that I was in Jacksonville. But it's the coffee incident. That's what we call it, the infamous coffee incident. Yeah, it's just, when you're a rookie, when you don't know what the hell's going on, when you don't know what the hell you're supposed to be really doing, when you're under pressure all the time, feel like you're going to get cut every day, you kind of, you take drastic measures whenever you are in situations that put you in duress. So for me, I likely almost poisoned an entire room of men. So something I could probably take pride in from some perspective, but hey, that's the way it is. And, when you're coming up as a rookie, sometimes you got to, go through trials by fire. And those guys really gave it to me on that one. And I think, I'm pretty sure that kind of spread around with the coaches as well, because Jack Del Rio even walked by me in the hallway at one point that season after it happened. And he was like, what did he say? Jack was like, hey, hear you make a great cup of coffee, Uche. And, of course I laughed it off. But I was also kind of in my head clapping back at him like, yeah, wish I could make one for you one day. Let you taste some of that yellow tinge. But yeah, that's the infamous coffee incident. It was a crazy, crazy meeting session. After that, it was everything mellowed out, went back into the meeting, but for a good 5 to 10 minutes, that was the topic of the meeting, was my carelessness and my don't give a F attitude about being a rookie and doing rookie things for the vets. So smash that like button. Anybody got any questions they want to ask? I want to try and push this till we extend this for a little bit. I got multiple stories, but I wanted to just kind of give that coffee incident story to you guys, because that one was a special one, and that was a story that directly featured me on a stage by myself. It's funny because when it happened, these other rookies are supposed to be actually doing stuff too, but they were in the meeting earlier than I was, and whenever it came to the coffee, that was kind of designated to me. It's funny that when it happened, I turned to look at to see where the other guys were, the other rookies were. Oh, they disappeared into the shadows of that meeting room. Nobody said a word to kind of break that tension as I was stuttering and struggling to answer for what I had done with the water. So anybody have any questions they want to ask, feel free. Next week, there's another story, and this one is more based in a NFL tradition. That one, next week, I'm going to talk about the rookie dinner. The rookie dinner was some BS for me. I got hung out to dry for my rookie dinner, and that's something that I think you guys are really going to like that story as well. Okay, UK reactions. Who was the best player you had to go up against, and how much trash talking really goes on in the trenches? Best player I ever went up with, or I ever went up against, I would have to say, man. Well, I'll say this because this is the only guy that I really felt like he beat me each time I went against him. And it was in my second year. And that was Tommy Harris when we played in Chicago against the Bears. Tommy Harris, this guy, this guy manhandled me 2 plays in a row on the goal line. I was a young player, my first year as a starter, and I really didn't know, I really didn't understand how to be ready for certain moves from certain players. And, I was just literally going, doing my assignment, but not with the awareness and knowing how a guy's going to react. And we were at the goal line on 3rd and 4th down. We're running ISO on both plays. because we feel like we can get Maurice Jones-Drew right in the end zone from 1 yard out. All you got to do is just stay on your block. Well, for me, both times, Tommy Harris shot the gap on me. I could barely see him, and he just hit me with a fast. Look at Dontre, hit me with a fast swim move, right up the B gap, and made the tackle behind the line on Maurice Jones-Drew 2 plays in a row. Yeah, I looked pretty bad on those 2 plays, and I was shamefully watching that in the film room in our meetings the next day. But Dontre Flemings. Dontre is one of my old teammates at Purdue. He was defensive tackle. I was offensive guard / I went to Purdue as a defensive end, but ended up moving to offensive guard after my first year. Dontre, dude, please. Dontre was good. Dontre had a nice little swim move, nice hands, but man, please, you wasn't running nobody. Now, as for trash talk in the trenches, not that much. There's really not. There was one game, and I'll actually, I can tell y'all this. This was like my 5th, 6th year. I think the only game where I was really ready to talk trash and ready to get in a fight, like literally, I was ready to get kicked out the game, was 2011 against the Detroit Lions when they had Ndamukong Suh, and this was the game right after he had just stomped on one of the offensive linemen from Green Bay. I was ready to fight this dude because I was going to, he was my matchup the entire game, and I was ready to go, I was going to have to go one-on-one with him because I wasn't going to be getting any help from any other lineman. There was no chipping. It was just me against Sue, and that was going to be the whole game. And, knowing what he had done to a lineman the previous week, I had psyched myself into the mentality of I'm going to fight this cat. If he even tries anything dirty, we're going to be rolling on this ground, and we both going to get kicked out of the game. That's just how it's going to be. I'm ready for it. And it ended up that the guy never said a single word to me the entire game. I pretty much dominated him the entire game. Like, he didn't get a tackle. He didn't get a pressure. He didn't get a sack. And it was weird because I felt like he wasn't really playing hard, and I didn't know why. I mean, maybe he was, but it felt like it was too easy. And I was just really kind of ready to see if he was going to, try and punch me or get in a cheap shot so that I could fight. I was like, man, we going to fight. We would be in the huddle, and a couple of the other linemen would be like, hey, what's Sue doing? And I'd be like, man, he's like a sedated dog right now. He's not even like, he ain't even bull rushed me. One of his big moves is the one-arm bull rush. And I never got it. He tried to do swim moves, which, you try to swim move me on a pass rush, man, you're going to get thrown into the D end out there 5 yards laterally. But Ndamukong Suh was the only player who I really felt like it was going to be one of those kind of days, and it didn't end up being that way. Generally in the trenches, we just ain't got the energy for that. We don't got the energy. I can only acknowledge with head shakes and one word responses when I am when I'm playing a football game on Sunday. Like, I'm not about to get into a shouting match, and I'm not about to get into no trash talking because that burns energy, and I need that energy because I'm not getting subbed out. That's how we work on a daily basis or on a weekly basis as offensive linemen. We don't get subbed, so not much trash talking. DJ John, I don't even watch football, but I do love hearing players like you, Willie Cullen and Pat McAfee. Yeah, man, that's what we do, man. We're old Riley vets. We played for a long time there. Let's see. Hey, that's as elite as it gets, and really always figured there's a lot said each play. Oh no, dude. Not a lot said each play. Too tired. Maybe those, maybe sometimes some of the linebackers, but mainly the guys who were talking and yapping the most on the football field are like wide receivers and cornerbacks because, those small guys don't have to tug around 300 pounds or 250 pounds around the field at full speed with collisions every single play. Nobody's got the energy to be doing all that yapping. Nobody, except for them. What was the craziest, most electric atmosphere you were able to play in while in the NFL? Honestly, the game that was the hardest game to play in, just from an energy standpoint, with the crowd. I mean, it had to be Seattle. I played in Seattle twice during my career. Played out there, and those games. The first time we played out there, oh my god, it was. I'd never been in a stadium that was so loud. It was unbelievably loud. We were like on a 4 or 5 game win streak, I think, and we went into Seattle. And I mean, it was loud. That atmosphere out there it's disruptively loud. Like it disrupts your ability to actually like communicate with players on the field. It disrupts. I mean, we were at the goal line in Seattle, and it was like fourth and two from the 2-yard line, and couldn't even hear Dave in the huddle. Couldn't hear a quarterback. I read his lips to know what the play was. And I think that's kind of how we all handled it. We all kind of read his lips. All the linemen, we could very faintly hear him. But once we got to the line of scrimmage, I couldn't hear a word. Couldn't hear anything. I had to look out of my peripheral to actually, see that he was in his cadence, that he was under center and actually in his cadence. And then you're just kind of looking at the ball. You're kind of peripheral the ball while you're looking at the things that are in front of you. But yeah, definitely was a very disruptive environment. Definitely was very hard to play in, and their reputation is well earned in Seattle. What else going on? What else going on out here, guys? I'm going to run this okay, very true, and we may have already talked about this in a previous video, but building off the noise in Seattle, how would you guys handle snap counts when it was too hard to hear? Silent counts. Yeah, we do silent counts. Now, we had 2 different kinds of silent counts. It was the center silent count or the guard silent count. So with Brad at center, a lot of times, he would handle the silent count. He would look under to see the quarterback lift his leg up. And then what he would do is he would look to the right and then come back and snap. Or if it would, and that's silent 1. If it's silent 2, you do the same thing over 2 times. So he look under, come back up, look over here, come back forward, hold for a second, come back down, and come back up, then snap. So it's like when I say he's going like this, he's actually looking in between his legs at the quarterback, at the quarterback's feet to see when he lifts his legs. Another silent count that he had would be silent 1 on 2. So silent 1 is just when he turns and comes back. Silent 1 on 2 would be he looks under 1 time, comes back up, turns to the right, turns to the left, then comes back and snaps. And that would throw off defensive linemen a lot because they are used to seeing a center look under, come up and snap, look under, come up, turn, and then snap as he's turning back. But when you look under, come up, turn this way, turn that way, that's when they jump off sides because they see you turn to the left and they're expecting you to snap when you're bringing your head back. turn to the left, then come back and snap. And then you had the silent counts on the guard. So I would be at the guard position, and what? No sign language calls? I mean, shoot, dude, it's too loud. When it's really loud in some stadiums like Kansas City, Seattle, hell, Indianapolis, where else? Chicago. Chicago is a loud stadium too. But when it's really loud, I mean, dude, it's all just motion. Then there'd be the guard. So I would be at my position at guard, and I was the one who had to look back to the quarterback. And once he lifts that leg, I come back and I touch the center, that silent one, and then he'll snap. And then there'll be silent two, where I'll look back and come forward, tap, then look back again, come forward, and tap again, and then the center snaps it, and we're off to the races. But silent counts can be tricky too. I mean, we had a lot of different silent counts that we used on teams to get them to jump off sides. We would do like fake silent counts. We would do a fake silent count, and then we would actually audible into the play. So we would do silent, and then we would pause, and then the quarterback would call the play, and then we'd do silent again, and then run the play. You know, we would try to get him to jump off sides as much as we could. But yeah, it's funny, like all those things that we dealt with as players, you know, on the field. You know, the silent count, it could trip up our tackles. The tackles always had a hard time with silent count, just because, you know, and usually it's the left tackle, because those guys are like literally always battling the best player on the defense. So they're edgy as hell. They're real flinchy and anxious. So if you don't make it a smooth motion, a smooth, predictable motion for the guys who know the actual snap count, then, you know, those guys would jump off sides, or they'd be a little bit earlier, they'd be late, you know, but you get used to it and then you're able to roll. So that is my Rookie Day story time, guys. I appreciate you guys for joining the stream. Smash that like button, leave comments. You know, if you feel like donating, donate. It's all good. Really appreciate everybody being on the stream. Next week, I will be talking about the rookie dinner. So make sure you're ready for that. That one was a doozy. Yeah, UK reactions, no problem, man. No problem. Glad to answer your questions. Make sure you share this video. Hit the like button, share the videos. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified whenever I'm dropping new videos. I just dropped a video yesterday on the NCAA making a ruling that they would now allow players to profit from their likeness and basically allowing them to create a brand for themselves. So make sure you check out that video. I went kind of in depth with that one and how that one's going to play out for players and their futures, in the future of college football. But I appreciate all you guys. I will talk to you all on the next video. Peace.